small update to the car today. I really like how the ride height turned out. Honestly, even the front looks really good. But what I've noticed is that the driver's side, even with myself sitting in the driver's seat, is still just like maybe a 1/4 inch higher than the front right. So I want to modify that a little bit just to get it even, like on both of the fronts, ideally when I'm sitting in there. But I think once we do that, it'll be pretty much dialed in. I don't really want to go much lower as far as the front goes, at least for the time being. But I want to lower it down just to even it out. I'm going to head over to the shop and we'll get it up on the lift and see what we can get done today. So here's where we're at now. The rear is pretty close to even, but always the driver's side always sits a little bit lower. It's hard for any car to be perfectly balanced, but we're gonna try to get a little more accurate in what the measurements are, but we're not messing with the rear today. Just kind of showing you what it looks like. So this is basically is my fingers level to the floor just about. It's like one finger there. It's probably a little bit lower on this side as it usually is. Yeah, just a little bit lower. Pretty negligible. It's damn close. But where the real difference is more in the front. So in the front, I'm honestly pretty happy with how it is on this side. It's like just a hair over one. But on the other side, there's just a little bit more space. And I've checked it parked in many different locations, and it's always a decent bit higher here. So I want to go ahead and try to even that out a bit today. And we'll also check the preload while we're in there. So the coilover kit came with their own spanner wrenches, and unfortunately, I don't know what I did with them. I can't find them. Luckily, we're able to manage with the spanners that we do have. They're just not ideal. So based on my eyes, the driver front always looks a little high visually, but we just measured it in many scenarios and it seems like it's literally spot on. But maybe it's uneven tire wear or something else. But I think what we're gonna do is try to lower it just a little bit. So maybe we could take out that like optical illusion. It always looks a little bit higher in the front left, but maybe it's just not. It's just like maybe the tire's worn down more or something, but we'll figure it out. So this was the problem I ran into in the last video, is that now that it's this low, I have to drive up on the blocks here to be able to swing that arm under. So I went to lower it down in the last video and it bottomed on the lift. So I have to do blocks now in the front. So we got it up on the lift. We're gonna go ahead and pull the wheels. I think while we do it, we're just gonna swap the two front wheels and see if that fixes the optical illusion. Maybe it's like tire wear or something like that. But while it's up here, we'll just do a very minimal drop. So once the wheels are off, we'll go ahead and turn this out a little bit. Get it just a little bit lower. So we're not gonna mess with the preload because last time we set it pretty soft, just tight enough so there's no wobble in the spring, but I don't really wanna stiffen the front up much. So since they're even, I think I'm gonna leave that. But we're gonna go ahead and rotate it out just to lower it down very minimally and see how that looks. got the car all lowered down. I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far. It's not like a crazy bit lower, but it's lower, and I just wanted to get it to where it was kind of around that like 1 finger point there. And it seems like we've got the other side pretty much identical, I want to say. So I'll go ahead and move it out and see what it is in different environments, but I think that ought to cover it. So it seems like we got it pretty much dialed in. I didn't lower it a ton, but it looks a lot better. It just kind of balances it out with the rear. Technically speaking, the front's sitting a little bit lower, but I think it has to do with the shape of the fender well here is made different from the front to the back. So it actually might have a little bit of rake to it, but visually speaking, it looks perfect. So it'll look a little different now because it's on uneven ground, but when it's on really flat ground, the driver's side always just sits like maybe an 1/8 inch or something higher than the passenger side. But once I sit in there, it totally balances out. And I think that might be how they designed the car, so that once the driver's in there, it's actually pretty even. So luckily we were able to lower it even on both sides. I really didn't want to go asymmetrical if I didn't have to. And it seemed like just by lowering it a little bit, kind of like a 1/4 inch on each side, it seems like it's balanced it out to where the ride height is perfectly even, especially when the driver's in the car. I think they might design the geometry of the car to just be a little bit higher on the driver's side to compensate for the driver weight. But it seems pretty much perfect now. And it always depends on how level the floor is. So I parked at a gas station and it looked perfectly even. It looked pretty much perfectly even in the garage as well. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. I'll drive it around for a little bit and see how I like it, if it settles in a little bit, but so far it seems perfect. I don't think we're gonna have any clearance issues. When you hit a bump hard, there's a lot of damping so that it doesn't come up too high. I really don't think there's gonna be any rub, but that's part of the trial period. I'll drive it around for a little bit and see if we have any issues. The back definitely is totally fine. I've come up pretty far and I don't think it can compress enough to get down to the bead, and this is the only spot that might rub pretty much. But now that we lowered it, it just visually looks perfect. It looks nice and even, whereas before I could always notice more of a wheel gap on the front. But right now it looks awesome. That's kind of exactly what I was looking for.